by the budgetary orientation debate and the holding of the Children's Parliament. The written phase of the Baccalaureate General examination gets underway across Cameroon as GCE candidates of the Anglophone subsystem of education get immersed in the practicals of their certificate examinations. Those are our lead stories. Hello, Ben Menopufong in Yaoundé, and this is the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Hello, and thanks for joining us once again. And so the 24th edition of the Senior Women African Cup of Nations has opened in Yaoundé, with Cameroon demonstrating her compelling sense of event organization in a colorful and thrilling opening ceremony at the multi-purpose sports complex downtown Yaoundé. The opening ceremony was graced by a splendid display of the country's cultural diversity through choreographic displays that left the hundreds of guests and onlookers spellbound. Romeo Kenye captured the sounds and colors of the opening ceremony as it unfolded in the presence of the representative of the President of the Republic, Henri Eyebe Ayisi.
On behalf of the President of the Republic, I declare open the 21st edition of the Senior Women Handball Africa Cup of Nations, Cameroon 2021.
And that is how the 24th edition of the Women's Handball Tournament kicked off at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. The choreography, in a nutshell, done in 3 phases. First, the parade of flags of the 11 participating nations showcased Cameroon's dexterity, strength in hosting Africa comes under review. The 4 different cultural zones of the country, the Sudano-Sahelian, Grassfield, Sawa and Fang Beti, were also epitomized in the colorful event. Proof of a country elated in its cultural diversity. And then the Continent Handball Confederation is honored, a symbol the sport discipline has gained fame over time. The Minister of State Property, Land Tenure and Surveys, Henri Eyebe Ayisi, represented the head of state, CAP President Beninese-born Dr. Mansourou Aremu, and other state dignitaries graced the ceremony.
And the icing on the cake of that colorful opening ceremony was this all too important victory of Cameroon over its all-time rival Kenya in the tournament's opener with a compelling 40-16 thrashing. Tonight's victory clearly translates Cameroon's ambitions in the competition as she seeks the continental title to rather grab and keep the continental title for the very first time. And Cameroon has just paved the way for more victories, 2 more, and the country's dream will begin shining on the horizon. On to other developments in the news now. The second ordinary session of Parliament for the 2021 legislative year has gone underway in Yaoundé, with the Speaker and President of the 2 chambers kick-starting deliberations at their respective houses. 4 issues will dominate deliberations in both houses, notably the one on the budget orientation debate, the Children's Parliament and issues on land tenure legislation in Cameroon, as well as a special session on access to water and electricity in Cameroon. Let's now have details of today's opening session as it unfolded up at the Upper House of Parliament with Senate correspondent Charles Anyangwe.
They were all present, senators, members of government led by Prime Minister Joseph John Gute and other invited guests at the start of the second ordinary session of the Senate for the 2021 legislative year. Senate President Marcel Nyatinji-Fenji, who chaired the opening session, asked for a minute of silence to be observed in honor of late Senator Victor Esimisongo Mukete, Honorable Monjoa Lifaka, Honorable Yetna Marinette, and former Senator Simon Achidi Achu. President Marcel Nyatinji-Fenji hammered lengthily on the devastating effect of the COVID-19 pandemic and praised the Cameroon government for its effort in vaccinating Cameroonians to contain the spread of the disease. He launched an appeal to all those who are reluctant to have themselves vaccinated to follow suit, saying it is the best way to contain the spread of the disease. He concluded by calling on senators to use the 30 days period to exercise their constitutional mission of voting laws and controlling government actions, as well as to pay special attention to the budgetary orientation debate that falls within the framework of drafting the Finance Bill of Cameroon for the 2022 financial year.
At the lower house, Speaker Kavai Yege-Jibril, in his opening address, decried the rising wave of insecurity in some parts of the country while condemning the illegal possession of firearms. Esther Kmer has a snapshot of the solemn resumption of proceedings at the National Assembly as they unfolded today.
A full month of legislative activity beginning at the National Assembly. The elected representatives back from a 2-month recess are set to drive through the people's aspirations. In a context marked by security and health threats, the House Speaker expresses a fervent yearning.
I wish fruitful deliberations during our June session. On this note, I declare open the proceeding of the second ordinary session of the National Assembly.
The reflections during the session will pivot on designing an adequate coronavirus offensive and to thrust the vaccination campaign, while results of the COVID-19 audits are awaited. The illicit acquisition of arms, which has compounded the crisis in the predominantly English-speaking parts of Cameroon and thwarting government efforts to attain lasting peace, was condemned. While reiterating the National Assembly's stance to defend the country's sovereignty, the Right Honorable Kavai Yege-Jibril applauded the head of state's assistance to Nigerian refugees in the Minawawo camp. An acknowledgement was made of the Malagasy MP, Honorable Joanna Raheri Ari, attending the sitting. A moment of silence in memory of 2 female fallen members of the House was observed as work begins in earnest for the June session.
Following today's opening ceremony, the people's representatives have been expressing the urgent need for the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions to be resolved and for the terrorist insurgency in the far north of the country to be kept under permanent check. They articulated these concerns alongside those relating to the coronavirus pandemic, the elaboration of a proper budgetary orientation, and the introduction of electoral reforms in the country. Esther Kmer pieced together their reactions in the following report.
The security menace lurking in some parts of the country is a major bother.
We are having it very difficult to go to the field because of the insecurity. We just hope that during this session something can be done about that.
We are opening a session that is very stormy. The financial law, the issue of the COVID-19, they should believe in the institutions of the country.
Stamping out the coronavirus pandemic and the proper management of funds are critical.
There are two things that are already waiting for those who wish to know their state concerning the coronavirus, and the vaccines are ready.
Checking the circulation of illicit arms is another enjoiner.
Let the government take some very serious decisions because the lives of Cameroonians are at stake wherever they are.
Achieving an economic rebound will rely on a feasible budgetary debate.
I will be very careful of what is going into the budgetary orientation debate as to the reconstruction of the far north, the northwest and the southwest regions.
And electoral reforms are not undermined.
We are waiting during this session for the government to engage the reform of our electoral system.
By and large, the members of the National Assembly look forward to objective debates that will contribute to nation building.
Away from Parliament now, a presidential ordinance has amended certain provisions of the 2021 finance law, taking the state budget up to 5,480.4 billion CFA francs. This follows some positive signals from economic trends, from global economic trends, such as the rise in crude oil prices and financial support expected from some development partners. The amendments equally review the price of the ordinary passport in Cameroon, which will henceforth cost 110,000 CFA francs. Clarissa Ray Takang reports on the changes that the presidential ordinance is introducing.
From 4,865.2 billion CFA francs to 5,480.4 billion CFA francs. The modified 2021 state budget, through a presidential ordinance, has upped the general budget and that for special appropriation accounts, with internal revenue collection increased by more than 74 billion CFA francs. Amongst the specifics which have been reviewed are the price of an ordinary passport. From 75,000 CFA francs previously requested, those in need of the document will henceforth have to disburse the sum of 110,000 CFA francs in stamp duty. This has to do with issuance, renewal, or extension. Equally to receive more resources is the National Solidarity Fund to address the socio-economic repercussions of the coronavirus pandemic. The state has placed an additional 50 billion CFA francs to the 150 billion voted, taking the threshold to 200 billion CFA francs. Meanwhile, debt servicing has been given a bigger push, billions of CFA francs more than what was voted in December 2020. The state is looking to honor its financial obligations at home and abroad, with plus 1,392.6 billion CFA francs. The adjustments and amendments in the 2021 finance law involve 11 sections. This comes days after another presidential ordinance raising the loans commitments the state is authorized to negotiate, both concessional and non-concessional.
A modern, more reliable and highly secured passport production system will be instituted in Cameroon with effect from July 1, 2021. The almost entire online production chain is the outcome of a 10-year build, operate and transfer deal struck between the General Delegation for National Security and the INCM Agentic Consortium. The development was made public in Yaoundé today during a press briefing by the Secretary General of the General Delegation for National Security, as you now tell us, Kilian Difon.
That is a sample of the modern, reliable, highly secured international civil aviation organization standard passport Cameroon will issue from July 1, 2021. Of the 4 stages in the production chain, physical presence is once for verification of original documents, photographs and fingerprints. All the other 3 stages are online, including application, processing, production and feedback to the applicant in real time. Sitting in for the Delegate General for National Security, the Secretary General at the Delegation General for National Security, Police Commissioner Baya Dominique, assured the press that the production partner, INCM Agentic Consortium, was one of the best in the world for the job and will entirely fund the 10-year build, operate and transfer project with the daily passport production capacity of 1,500 to optimal 2,200 points. He underlined that a passport from a problem-free application will be issued within 48 hours.
The commissioning of this new production system will thus put an end to the difficulties currently encountered by users in the process of obtaining passports.
The price of the new passport is 110,000 CFA francs, all payments made by mobile money or credit card.
Thanks for watching the news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV, as we broadcast live from Yaoundé. The written phase of the baccalaureate examination as well as the practicals of the GCE examinations have kicked off in Cameroon, with hundreds of thousands of candidates taking the examinations in both the Anglophone and Francophone subsystems of education. Up in the Northwest region, the two examinations were off to a smooth start, with over 22,000 candidates answering present at the various accommodation centers in the region. As Karin Tosam reports from CRTV Northwest, the examination this year witnessed an increase in the number of candidates as compared to the figures of last year.
At GBHS Bamendankwe, one of the exam centers in Bamenda 1 subdivision, all 104 students expected for literature and philosophy in Baccalaureate General were present. At Government Bilingual Technical High School Bamenda, students were busy with motor mechanics, woodworks and other subjects, with officials noting a significant increase in participation in this year's exams.
We have about 30% improvement in all our statistics in the exams this year. GBHS Bamendankwe, where we had the written part of the back exams that were moving on, with all the candidates we expected present, and we had the practical phase of the food and nutrition, home economics, and GBTHS Bamenda, all the specialties on this morning, with close to 1,000 candidates you can see involved in the exams already. We're talking about an exam that is bringing together more than 25,000 candidates in the region.
Secondary education officials have reassured that as at now, the exams is unfolding smoothly across the 7 divisions of the Northwest.
Excuse me. The 2021 official examinations in Cameroon are taking place in a context characterized by the COVID-19 pandemic. As per instructions from higher quarters, all accommodation centers are expected to be equipped with COVID-19 preventive gadgets to ensure that candidates take the examinations in safety and convenience. Beatrice Ngum made a round of some of the examination centers in the nation's capital to gauge how the COVID-19 barrier measures are being deployed on the ground and put together the following report.
This is GBHS Nkoleton in the early hours of the first day of the Bac General exams. At the gate, no student can trespass the 3 COVID-19 security checkpoints. Mask, the students must dip their legs in camel water, go through the thermoflash, then wash off every virus with soap. In class, only 24 candidates to respect social distancing. At break, they eat in class, no groups, they come with their food, with supervisors watching closely. At exactly 8 a.m., the signal is given. It's the beginning of the first paper for the day. Here at GHS Cité on record, more than 400 are to face the Baccalaureate General exams. 15 minutes after kick-off time, on paper, 21 are absent.
Everything is hitch-free. Candidates were here at 7 a.m. The routine checks were done.
The exams are holding amidst the pandemic, and all schools are reinforcing measures to keep the virus at bay. Students are sensitized. Most school campuses are equipped with what it takes to ensure the exams are COVID-free.
Let's stay in Yaoundé and take you over to the Government Bilingual Practicing High School, where over 500 candidates answered present for the practical phase, that is food and nutrition, of the ordinary level examination. Let's listen now to Mr. Eko Robert Sama, who is principal of that institution, as he comes back on some of the innovations of this year's examination sessions.
The candidates will be having these practicals beginning from today right up to Friday. And we do have 2 sessions each day. In the morning sessions, we'll be taking 65 candidates, and in the afternoon session, 65 candidates. So basically, that is it. They are all prepared, they are all poised, and I can assure you they are ready to do their best. With regard to the ordinary level, we do have food and nutrition, which is starting also today. They are there with their supervisors and the examiners. They are trying to instruct them and orient them based on the suggestions that the candidates will give for the different dishes that are on the menu that they would like to prepare. They are all very optimistic. They came prepared with their detailed requirements for the experiment. The written session actually begins on the 29th of this month of June.
Over in the littoral region, the 2021 official examinations are effectively on the rails as well in both the Francophone and Anglophone subsystems of education. While the Baccalaureate General candidates went in for the written phase of the examination, GCE candidates, both the advanced and the ordinary levels, were engaged in practicals in chemistry and food and nutrition. Bitmia Atantabara captured the mood that prevailed in some accommodation centers in the economic capital in day one of the exams, and now reports.
Here we are at Lycée Mongo Joseph, where 493 candidates answered present for the written part of the baccalaureate. At the government high school Oyak, 850 candidates are sitting in for the exams.
There is no problem as of now. I have no incident.
The case is slightly not the same at the government high school Deido, where 8 candidates have been marked absent on this first day of exams.
We have 598 students writing the exams. In number, we have 8 absentees for the whole session.
In all, strict barrier measures have been put in place in all the writing centers. Candidates are writing under tight security measures by the forces of law and order. 24 candidates per class, respecting social distancing, and an isolation center created in the centers for suspected cases.
Over 70,000 candidates are taking the Baccalaureate General examinations in hundreds of accommodation centers in the south, east and west regions of the country. Reports talk of a general smooth takeoff with very few cases of absences recorded here and there. Gerald Nanji Eyambe has a roundup of day one of the examinations in these 3 regions.
Close to 1,000 candidates began taking the different technical baccalaureate exams in Bafoussam, be it at GBHS Bafoussam, like GBTHS Benango accommodation centers. The candidates started with literature and computer science, all in strict respect of COVID-19 barrier measures.
The candidate came in with their mask and their gel. So when we put them in classes, they are only about 24, that to respect the distanciation, take their temperature to let them in.
Elsewhere in the East region, GBHS Betua, one of the examination centers, some 786 candidates answered present, but for some irregularities of some insufficient exam papers.
What we'll do is we'll take a copy and print very fast and distribute in class.
At Government Scientific High School Betua, with 607 candidates expected, 11 cases of absence were recorded. However, the regional delegate of secondary education expressed satisfaction on the general conduct of the kickoff. In the South region, over 48,000 candidates began writing the exams in a serene atmosphere. The regional delegate of secondary education crisscrossed some of the examination centers to appraise the situation. Most candidates in Ebolova have expressed satisfaction with the nature of the exams, saying it was within their reach.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Health officials in Cameroon continue to encourage Cameroonians to go out and have themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus. They say all the vaccines available in the country are very effective, and so they should cast away doubts as to the efficacy of these vaccines. Let's join Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Afizo Tambasho, of the Regional or National Immunization Program at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center here in Yaoundé for more on the efficacy of the vaccines. Hello, Baldwin. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening to you, Ben Menopufong. There are some Cameroonians who are reluctant to have themselves vaccinated simply because they doubt the efficacy of some of these vaccines available in Cameroon, either the Sinopharm or the AstraZeneca. How efficient are these vaccines? Let's find out from Dr. Tambashu, who is our guest this evening. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening.
Let's talk about the efficacy of the vaccines we have available in Cameroon, the AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccines, to reassure Cameroonians.
Actually, in Cameroon, we have two vaccines that we are using, Sinopharm and AstraZeneca. These two vaccines have been approved by WHO for use all over the world. They are very effective and safe for use, so we are encouraging Cameroonians to go to the nearest vaccination center and take any of these vaccines so that we can together kick out the coronavirus in our country.
And they should have there are some modalities to be respected before having themselves vaccinated.
To be vaccinated, you need to be in the eligible age group, which is 18 years and above. That's all you need to be vaccinated.
Thanks for that reassurance, Dr. Tambashu. Ben Menopufong, the take-home message from here tonight is we are reassuring Cameroonians for the efficacy of the vaccines, AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccines available in Cameroon. Cameroonians should not doubt the efficacy of these vaccines. They should go to the different vaccination centers and have themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus. Back to you, Ben Menopufong.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, and have a good evening. And the people of Nkongwa village near Mfu in the Mfona division have received reassurances on the imminent payment of compensation for the loss of property to the ongoing construction work on a 225 kilovolt power transmission line. This is the outcome of discussions with the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elunde Somba, who took the commitment to ensure that activities of the populations are not affected by the ongoing work. Clarice Array Takang sat through that crisis meeting and brought back this report.
Portions of farmland damaged, some structures which ease the activities of the population destroyed, and delays in the payment of compensations, or some families not included. These are the main issues which took the team from the Ministry of Water and Energy to Nkongwa, Mfu, where progress on the construction of the 225 90 kilovolt power transmission line had been halted. While the locals presented their case, issues with contractors were raised and addressed, and dialogue between the parties concerned urged.
One of the bridge to be constructed, wooden bridge, that immediately will start by Monday, and if rain not comes, we'll continue and we'll complete at the earliest. For that purpose, we'll have our engineering, internal engineering, and we'll have a good quality of bridge.
The state of electricity transmission infrastructure under construction in Mendong 1 and other villages were also checked. From 15 megawatts presently, the East region is looking forward to 30 megawatts of electricity supply once the project is completed.
And now on to this press release from the Ministry of Finance before we go. And the Minister of Finance informs the general public that the services of the Directorate General of Taxation were bugled into in the night of Monday breaking Tuesday, June 8, 2021. Initial investigations indicate that offices were broken into in almost all the 11 floors of the main tower of the building housing the head office of the Directorate General of Taxation. under the supervision of the State Council. Investigations have been opened by the specialized services of the police and the National Gendarmerie and will help to elucidate the motives behind this burglary and identify the authors. In the meantime, the Minister of Finance wishes to reassure the taxpayers that the Directorate General of Taxation will continue to offer its services to them in a seamless manner. And it has been signed Louis Paul Motaze, Minister of Finance. And that does it for this edition of the 7:30 News. Thanks for watching. Do take the rendezvous.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Our world today is full of uncertainty. But then, do we really need to be worried? If the infrastructures that are built today could bring development to our regions, if the opening up of our business to the world could be expanded, if more avenues to bridge the gap between our cultures could be explored, what then if we had no cause to be worried? Our government, through the 2020-2030 National Development Strategy, is even more than in the past, showcasing its resolve to really take us a step further. For each one of us to know the greatness and unity of our country, Cameroon has to count on its young people. Young people with promising ideas, those willing to fulfill their aspirations and ready to serve. Distinguished citizens, dubbed SAGO, from the 18th to the 24th of July 2021 at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. For further information, please contact the event agency Mon Communicateur, the government's agent.
Salon de l'action gouvernementale, la vitrine du Cameroun.
Madam, good morning. I know exactly what you can find now.
You know me very well. I am a faithful customer of my yard.
Ah, madam, you correct though. See my pop-up as he fine and he really brown.
And my fish for roastam. Trust me, it really tastes so.
100% extra refined, perfectly balanced. Mayo is rich in vitamins and it makes life so light.